Hello everyone, it's Melanie. I am working on the first pages in my encyclopedia junk journal. I thought I would bring you along. So my daughter was complaining. She kind of was. She was saying how we never do anything exciting. So on Saturday morning, my husband and we had talked about it the night before on Friday night, but on Saturday morning we decided we were going to fly down to the coast and get some seafood for lunch. My husband is a private pilot and we have a single engine 4-seater airplane that he flies. He also has a single seat that he flies, but luckily it only has one seat, so I don't have to go up in it because this guy that loves flying happened to marry a girl who had always been afraid of flying her whole life. So anyway, we flew down to the coast, and what ensued was we had kind of I like to call it an adventure, and that's what I try to tell my daughter. And one time I remember we were in Chicago. My daughter was probably about 6 years old, and we went out to the Navy Pier, and we were staying just there, in the touristy part of Chicago. I can't remember what the road, Michigan Avenue, is it? But we were staying there, and we had walked from our hotel to the Navy Pier, and the weather was gorgeous. It was beautiful. So we walked down there, and when we were on the Navy Pier, it started raining like no rain I have ever experienced. It was just buckets from the sky. And we were drenched. If we had jumped into Lake Michigan, we couldn't have been any wetter than we were. And there was no cover. People were crowding together, and it was really, she was crying, and it was, but I was trying to tell her at the time, and I'm sure it went right over her head. I was trying to tell her, I was like, Shay, this is what memories are made of. This is why you'll remember this trip. Not because we had so much fun on the Navy Pier, things like that. I was like, you're gonna remember this trip because of this rain, of this unbelievable downpour that we, Anyway, so sometimes I think it's things like that that make the adventures, things that make it. So that's what I called this trip, an adventure. So anyway, we flew down, and I tried to take pictures, just tried to take more pictures, and I didn't exactly succeed. I didn't take nearly as many pictures as I wanted to, but I kind of started on laying some of this out. I took some pictures that I want to put in, and then I did my journaling because I had so much of it. I did it on separate papers that like this I did in the plane, and I didn't take my journal with me in the plane. I just took a steno notebook, and actually I took both of these because my pages are they're like 6 3/4 wide by 10 tall. So I took this steno book, which is 6 by 9, because I figured if I wrote on these pages, then it would fit perfectly on here. And then I also took this paper, which is, it's 6 by maybe 8.5 tall, but it's really super thin recycled craft paper. I bought this from kickerland.com, and I bought 3 pads of it when I bought it, but I'm down to 2, but I love this paper. It's so thin, but it's really durable. Anyway, so this is what I took, were these 2 pads of paper, thinking if I wanted to do any drawings or writings, I could just do them on this and then add them in my journal when I got home. So now I'm at the journal when I get home stage. So last night I was just sort of looking through here, and I put this in, which I wrote down on the plane, and then this was after we started flying, and then I printed out some pictures of the trip on the way down there, and I just put these on a piece of scrapbook paper. It's cardstock. I was thinking about gluing this on here or pinning this on here, but I don't think I'm going to, because I like this out of that map that I picked up. I guess I could staple it on here. I'll just do that. So I hope everyone is doing well. I just finished answering a bunch of really, really sweet comments on my YouTube channel. You guys are so encouraging and positive. You have no idea how much all your sweet comments mean to me. And it's true. I feel like you know, like maybe like you're sitting here with me, and I'm just imagining you're sitting over there on the other side of my table. Maybe we're at a retreat or something together. And anyway, thank you for all the sweet comments. I really appreciate it. They're very, very kind and very uplifting. And when I'm thinking, why am I doing this? Because I'm such a perfectionist and I put way too much into it sometimes, and that makes it not as much fun. But then I read your sweet comments and everything's good. So this is just one of those touristy map things I picked up at the airport. I guess I cut there it is, yeah. Oh, I could have, now I like this better. So the first thing we did when we got to Galveston was went to eat, since that was kind of the point of going down there. We settled on a place called Miller's Seawall Restaurant, and it was very good. So if you find yourself in Galveston, it was really good. I think I'm just gonna glue this on here. And now I tore the water off. Shouldn't have torn it. Maybe I'm gonna glue the water back on. I think I will. I think I'm gonna cut this kind of like this. Ooh, if only the water in Galveston was actually this color. Wouldn't that be nice? The water in Galveston is, the Texas coast is not like the Florida coast on the Gulf side. It's, well, Port Aransas, further down south is, but they're pretty beaches, but, and it is fun to be able to be so, be close enough that you can just go down to the coast. And when I say close enough, I mean, it's multiple hour drive. The flight was 2 hours in our little plane. So I think I'm just gonna glue this on, and then I'm gonna put pictures of the, from the restaurant on this page. So what was kind of ironic and funny about this trip was, as we were discussing whether to just fly down for the day and go just for the day or to stay the night, I was adamant. I was like, I don't really want to stay the night. I'd rather just go and then come back home. I don't want to spend the night, that kind of thing. Well, you'll see how that went. Because sometimes, I guess I could use that too. Sometimes nature has other plans, and that's part of the fun of general aviation, when you fly places. in small planes and stuff, you're kind of at the mercy of the weather. And you know that when you set out, you know, when you leave, you know that. You know that if the weather gets bad or if something happens, you might get stuck. So you just have to kind of be open to it. So here's some pictures from lunch. Well, actually, I mean, technically it was dinner. Let's see. I have too many pictures here. Maybe I'll put... and I kind of feel like I want to put something on the back of this. I wish I could match that in color. I might be able to. I put on this one, this is some cerulean blue. I might be able to duplicate that. Let's see. This is just a bottle of distilled water that I use to wet my watercolor paints. So let me see if I just do this. What if I put a tiny bit of that in there? So I think that's cerulean blue and whatever that is. Can't remember. Okay, so I'm going to paint this in with a different brush. These are horrible brushes. May have to edit so you don't have to watch me dealing with brushes. There we go. So some cerulean blue and a tiny touch of that teal color. And that background doesn't bother me, that text. I like it. This is really sloppy. But it kind of looks like water, I guess. So let's see. Ooh. So after this, I'm going to do another video because I want to show you guys my calendar that I made, because I started in this new June book, but I'm missing the kind of journaling that I've been doing for the past couple of years, which is this kind of journaling where I write pages and pages of things. Hang on. Okay. So I made another journal that's like the ones I've been working in for the past couple of years, and I need to share all of those because I loved working in those, and I'm really missing it. They're composition books is what I worked in, just regular old 50-cent, $1 composition books. And I really want to talk about this. And they're so much fun to work in. What really happened was in 2015, I bought a Japanese hobonichi, which is a kind of ridiculously expensive Japanese planner. And it's made with this incredible, really thin paper called Tome River is the brand of paper. And It's super thin, but hardly anything bleeds through it. It's really awesome, awesome paper. So I was kind of intimidated, I think, working in it. It was hard to work in because I was so nervous about messing the pages up that I wouldn't do anything. And I feel that way about nice sketchbooks too. I've always done that with nice sketchbooks. I end up not ever using them because I'm afraid I'm going to mess them up. So to kind of get myself over that, I switched to a composition book. And I found an author named Linda Barry, Lyndabarry, and I can do a whole video. I could do a whole video on her. She actually teaches writing, and she's technically a cartoonist, and she teaches writing. But I'll have to do a video on her books because they have been very, very inspiring to me over my journal journey. But see, now I'm rambling. I can't even remember where I was going with this whole line of whatnot. Okay, this page was after we ate, and what I'm gonna do is I'll write on a different piece of paper about our lunch a little bit, and I'll glue it on right there. So then before we left, I was looking in my trunk for something, and my mom had given me this box of Sesame Street flashcards. And as I flipped through them, I found these 2 flashcards. And I was like, oh, those are appropriate. You know, we're going in the clouds to the ocean. So I brought both of these with me. And I was going to journal on the backs of them, but I didn't do it. So the next thing we did after we ate was walked across the street to the beach. So that's what I was going to put on this page, but I really don't want to cover up this cute little robin. So I was thinking I would make a pocket here, and this would naturally be the most appropriate pocket. I mean, if I put that there, I could still lift it up to see that robin, I guess. The other thought I was thinking was I could use a piece of transparency to make my pocket, and then you could still see the robin. But honestly, I think that this flashcard works better. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to glue it on. And then I'll make another card to put the pictures onto. Press that down. And I didn't get a lot of ephemera from this from our little trip, so I saved a Dippin' Dots receipt. I mean, that's not very exciting. This one I'll put on a different day. Oh yeah, I had it for the next day. So here's the other half of that piece of paper that I used here. I think I'm going to make it a little narrower, and then I'll punch a tab on the top of it because I kind of like the whole having a tab on the top of it. I used this punch for that. Let's see. This tab punch board. And let's do a large tab. I don't know if anyone has this tab punch board, but this part doesn't cut great. It doesn't line up well across there. bothers me a little bit. I got it at Tuesday morning, that little punch board. So that will go in there. And let's put the beach pictures. And that way I can put them on front and back. And I could even print some more if I wanted to. Because we took quite a few. There's my gluing. So there's there. Let's see. Am I in frame? There. How about that? But I kind of want this one on the front too. Oh, that's okay. Oh, I guess I'll put it on the back. I just got glue all over that. Do I want that under or on top? I think I'm mumbling again. I'm sorry, guys. Way too much glue on these. I'm out of my Tombow tape runner. I love my tape runner. And I'm out of refills. And you know they're kind of pricey for considering how much is on there, considering how long they last. So I hadn't bought any more, but I do love using the tape runner for photos and stuff. This feels very scrapbooky. That's okay though. Although I tried in the 90s. Oh my goodness. I tried scrapbooking. Like when Creative Memories was big. My daughter's baby book is the Creative Memories scrapbook, or Creative Memories book. And she's 19 now, and it's still not finished because I just could not get into it. It just really wasn't my thing. Not sure what I'm doing here. I made journal some on the back of this, but and this Scotch glue may be kind of overkill. Me and my sweetie. So let's put on here at the beach. Okay. So I can do a little journaling around these later. So that was when we were actually at the beach. So then, as my husband's checking the weather, like all good pilots do, we discovered when it was time to go that we were down here. See, that's us down there on the coast. And this is where we're going, is up here. So everything was clear. There was a little bit, here, and then everything was clear up to here. So we decided to go around this mess in Houston, fly around that, and just start heading home and see how far we could get. So that's what we did. And we got as far as Hillsboro, Texas, which is about 60 miles from my home, from where we live. And once we got to Hillsboro, that was there. We were in Hillsboro right there. This is what it had turned into. So we couldn't fly into that. It was, I don't really know what it means, but my husband was saying that the clouds were convective, and there, of course, there was lightning. So, you know, we're not going to fly into that in our little plane. So we had to land in Hillsboro. So thus began the adventure part of our trip. So this page, I guess I can do the flight to Hillsboro. And see, the sky got really dark and ominous. And the landing in Hillsboro was... My husband did a good job, but it was so windy. It was so windy when we landed that it really kind of put me to the test a little bit. You know, I just got glue all over the back of this, and I wanted to use this as a tuck spot for right here, and now it's got glue all over it. And I don't know if it's going to work now as my tuck spot, because, so maybe I should make my tuck spot real quick so that I think I will. This was the next day. This video is probably super boring, guys. Let's do it there. You know, I say that I'm probably being boring, but when I do my journaling, I do the same thing that some of you guys say you do. You know, I turn on someone's crafting video and just have that on while I'm doing my stuff, instead of listening to music. Or, I mean, sometimes I do listen to music or watch a movie, but I do spend a lot of time just watching other YouTube videos while I do my own crafting. Ooh, some junk. I'm pretty new still to this art glitter glue, and it doesn't seem to take very much of it to work well, so I haven't been putting much on. So I'm anxious to see how it holds up long term. You know, it's like it grips really fast, it holds quickly, and I really enjoy it. I just hope it holds up. Ooh, I didn't give it enough time. I hope it holds up long term. You know, that like a year from now or something, this isn't all peeling off. Press that down. Maybe I need to wait for it to dry a little bit more before I put anything in it. So I'm going to skip that day for a minute, and I'm going to put these pictures. This is the next day, then that means I need to fit these and this on here. So I'll probably do another card. And actually this could go on here, and I could talk about, I'll do that, because this was what it looked like when we left the beach. So I'll do some more journaling or whatever on the back of this. Maybe do some painting on it, whatnot, and on the front. That'll be in there. Oh, and then for my at the beach, I always pick up shells and sand, and I have all these jars of all the beaches that I've been to in the past 20 years. But I picked up you know, the shells always have these little holes a lot of time, a little hole in them, so I just picked up the shells and I put it on a bulb pin, and I'm just gonna clip that onto my ruffle, my little fabric ruffle there. So that can kind of go with my on the beach part. If it doesn't annoy me, we'll see if it bugs me being on there. Okay, so I'm gonna tuck these pages, all of these, which is the whole story, I'm gonna tuck in here. And this, I was gonna put these pictures of the next day on here. And you'll notice I'm not doing a lot of embellishing. I don't want to get this journal too full. This is tissue paper. I don't want to get this journal too full. So I'm trying not to do more layers than I have to. Thought maybe I'd put some tissue paper behind this. We'll see if it works. I think I'll just get something hard. And take that paper clip out of there. Just put it down the side. Like this. This is what I'm thinking. And I have not tried it like this before, so this may be a total disaster. But I'm wondering if I put this on just where I put my glue, so it sticks just to the glue. Then what happens if I then tear it off? Now, it might work if you wait till it dried. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna, I think if I let it dry, it would tear right at the edge. And I just said, I'm gonna wait till it dry, and then what do? Keep tearing it. Okay, I'm gonna wait till that dries to trim the rest of it, to pull the rest of it off. Which means I need to wait until it's dry. Well, I guess not. I guess I could just put my pictures on it and then just trim off those little bits. Or I could just glue them down. I'll just do that. We'll just glue them down. This was the next morning. So what happened was we ended up sleeping in the little municipal airport, which was closed. And if you get, general aviation is interesting. It's like a whole nother world from the regular airports and all of that. It was very eye-opening to me when we started doing all this flying, and it was very interesting to me how all of this kind of works. But so this airport is owned by the city. It's a single runway, and they have what's called an FBO, which is kind of like a terminal at the big airport, but it stands for flight-based operations. So the FBO is generally only open, you know, Monday through Friday, kind of business hours. And it's a small airport, so it doesn't have an air traffic control tower. There's no monitored tower there. But if you go when if you land there when the airport is not open, you can still usually get into the FBO, the building itself. That's pretty. I think I'll save that. I don't want to glue on that. That's pretty. So you can get in the FBO. So we have to call, like this place, we had to call the police dispatch number and tell them we were there and give them our tail number and my husband's pilot's license number, and then they give us the code to let us in the door. So when we got inside, then we got to take, they have a courtesy car, and it's really cool. They have these courtesy cars for the pilots, even at these little municipal airports, you know, that are owned by the city. So the courtesy car at the Hillsborough Airport was a 1999 Ford Taurus. You know, they're usually donated, cars that people have donated. So we're able to, you know, at 9:30 at night or whatever it was, 9 o'clock at night, we're able to park the plane there, go inside, use the restroom, all that kind of stuff, sign out the courtesy car so we can take the car, and we took the car and went to IHOP because there's not a whole lot to eat at that time in Hillsborough. So we went to IHOP, and then we came back, and when we came back, there were some other people also in the FBO. And when I saw them there, I was like, oh no, because the guy was laying on the couch, and the FBO, it only had, let's see, here's a sofa and 2 recliner chairs. So my husband, me, and my daughter. And then when we got back from eating at IHOP, there were people laying on the couch like they were stuck too. I mean, the weather was really bad, so they were stuck there too, and they were on the couch. And I was like, oh no, one of us is gonna have to sleep on the floor, and we could have just gone to a hotel. Yes, that's totally an option. But I didn't want to pay $79 or $80. You know, you pay taxes on that. So it'd be $100 a night for a hotel. And we literally were just going to sleep for a few hours until that storm cleared up. That's all we were waiting for, was for this storm to pass, and then we're just going to jump in the plane and fly home. But turns out the people that were lounging on the sofa, they were there because they had been out in their helicopter, and which they usually keep at home, which I'm assuming they live on a ranch, because he does crop dusting from both planes and helicopters. And so they had been out that night that day in their helicopter, and they were going to fly it back home, I'm assuming, to their ranch thing, and the weather prohibited them from. He wanted to put it in the hangar. I guess he doesn't have a hangar at home. So he wanted to put it in the hangar, and so he flew it to the hangar, and then they were waiting for their son to come and pick him up. So it really worked out cool, because then he had a big hangar, and it was lightning and hailing, and so we thought, we didn't like our plane stays in a hangar, and we didn't really want it sitting out on the tarmac. So the guy offered to let us put our plane in his hangar, which was so awesome. But you know, I was thinking about it, you know, this is like the middle, Hillsborough is like, it's the middle of Texas. And if you've ever heard anyone say that people in Texas are friendly, they are. People are just friendly in Texas. That's just the way it is, I think. So anyway, these people were so sweet, and they let us put our plane in there for the night. And then, while we were out and went to IHOP, we also went to Walmart, and I got 3 fleece throws for $2.50 each, because I told my husband I didn't have any socks on, and I was wearing shorts, and I was like, there's no way I can sleep in that leather chair with nothing covering me. So my daughter would be mad if I showed you. So I slept in a chair that night with a $2.50 Walmart throw. So to me, I don't know, that's what makes it the adventure, you know? I love that part. Ooh, I might just put that right there. I think I will. I like it. So, I don't know. It's kind of fun, you know, when things, everyone's fine. We were always safe. You know, we could have landed at, he was picking out airports all along the route, you know, that we could have landed at. We were just trying to get as close as we could to home before we had to land. So everybody was safe, but in hindsight, and this is something that it's taken me, you know, a long time to realize, you know, in hindsight, it's those little mishaps and things like that that kind of make trips and that kind of make them memorable, you know. When everything goes as planned, it's not nearly as exciting. Not this, to put the other, oh yeah. Super busy, I like that. So I'll make a tab out of this. Make a little put a tab on this one. Put the tab on this side. To make sure I'm doing this punch thing right. I need a little label for right there. So here's the trip. Okay, I was going to put these two on something in there. And then I'm gonna put this stuff and these 4 pictures here. Okay, I think I've got it straight now. Do I want to put something on the back of this to kind of, so I could write on it a little bit? Sorry guys, I'm getting quiet on you. Concentrating so hard. So I'd love to hear if you have stories like that. If you agree that sometimes it's the adversity or the I don't know, when things don't go as planned, kind of makes things more memorable, more exciting. So I'll write on those. And then I've also got the pictures of the FBO for the back. Do something on the back of here though. I'll just paint it with some acrylic. That's pretty. Oregon, very pretty. It's that Oregon coast looks a lot prettier than the Texas coast, but don't tell anybody I said that. And if I didn't say it loud enough for you to hear it, then that's probably fine. Get these glued on, and then I can journal kind of around them. So I think that's it. I think I've got it all glued down. I need a label on here. Let me see. I have some labels. One of these will work. One of these will work, but I am pretty sure I will probably mess it up, so I'm going to get two. And I'll have to write on that with a Sharpie. What do I want it to say? Headed. No, see, I wrote that. I don't like it. Oh, I know. Oh, but we didn't go there. I was gonna say. Okay, I messed it up. I may edit this out of the video, you guys. Or I may just leave it in. I hope I don't get thumbs down for leaving it in if I do. I was gonna say the name of our home airport, but then we didn't actually make it there in that trip, so I'm just gonna say headed home. So look, it only took me 3 labels to get it right. Headed. Look how nicely that fits. Headed home. Okay. Well, guys, that was my excitement this weekend. And the first few pages in my new journal that I'm starting now, June 1st. So I've got some journaling I did in the plane, more journaling I did in the plane, some pictures. I'm going to journal here about our, maybe I'll even use this. I think I will. Put some journaling on here about our lunch, which was delicious. I'll just glue that on there. And put some notes and things on here about being at the beach and when we discovered that the weather wasn't going to cooperate on the way home. And pictures of when we headed home and where we had to sleep and the weather and a reminder of our fleece throws, which incidentally, we're gonna leave these. I'm gonna wash them because they were kind of stinky. We're gonna wash them and we're gonna put them back in the plane so next time we don't have to go buy them. And then this is more journaling, and I may glue these other 2 pictures on something and stick them in there too. Oh, I've got this one that I printed also that I didn't use, so I'm gonna stick them in there for right now. So that's my first entry in my new journal. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.